So, Teric, how's your stomach feeling?
We just had Olive Garden, and
We started talking about a really disgusting girl named,
Don't say
we,
her
we
name.
shouldn't say her name, but pretty gross. She has what I like to call CD nipples. Like, the area around her nipple is just like a giant CD, and then it brought back some PTSD for Teric. And he can't tell what his stomach ache is from, the Olive Garden or her. So what better way to, like, take care of that than to, like, see a horror movie?
right, it's called Don't Breathe. Yeah,
This is the only horror movie, like, I've been looking forward to. Like, there's a ton of horror movies I'm like, okay, I'll see that. But this is the only one I've been like, I want to see this.
yeah. Like I was actually genuinely interested in it when I first saw the trailer. And
Yeah. Because, as I keep saying, horror movies are hard for me. I've been so spoiled with video games that, like, immerse me so well that it just kind of ruined horror movies for me. But this looks like it can really engage me and be truly terrifying. And I mean, like, the concept just from the trailer, like, the blindness, I totally see opportunities for moments like in Silence of the Lambs, like at the end where she's holding the gun in the pitch black dark while Buffalo Bill's hunting her down with the night vision goggles. I think there's gonna be moments like that, just like pure silent, tense as hell moments.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like in the trailer, he had the part where now you'll see what I see, and he like turns off all the lights. Which
Yeah, and then it's pitch black.
It's pretty cool. I hope there's moments like that.
I want to see that, like, specifically. And I'm so happy Stephen Lang's in this fucking movie. I love him so much. I want him to be Cable.
That's what everyone's saying. Like,
Yeah. Because he's perfect. He's just this old dude. He's like typecasted as this, like, vet. This old vet. Because he's super strong. But Jesus Christ, he'd be so perfect.
I want to see his performance in this before I make a final decision. But
Well, there's tons of movies you can see to, like, because if you know anything about Cable, he's like he travels through time and stuff. He's even done that with fucking Terra Nova, even though that show is shit. Like, but he looks fucking terrifying in this movie.
he does. I hope he kills it in this movie, because he is the one character who I'm looking forward to, and
Yeah.
the character I might actually root for, because
Yeah, because I mean, like, it feels like this could be totally different, because usually we're supposed to sympathize for, like, the victims in this movie, or in these movies, but in this movie, I'm wondering if, like, it's gonna be, the audience is rooting for the villain, because, like, in the trailer, I mean, they're breaking into his house, so are we going to sympathize with them, or are we gonna hope that shit happens to them? And that's just one of the layers I want to see in this movie.
I mean, they could probably throw in something like they need all this money because, I don't know, family has cancer or whatever and they need money. I don't know, it could just be something like that for like a motivation to do something, but
I mean, yeah, but
I don't know.
there's a ton of things, like, I see potential with this movie to elevate it above the other modern day horror movies, because they end up being cliche. I mean, they end up not being effective for me, but this one really looks like it could be a diamond in the rough if handled right. There are genuine things I'm worried about. Like, I'm worried that there's going to be cheap jump scares because it'd be so easy to do. I'm worried that it's not going to focus enough on the concept, or the concept will turn into a gimmick. I mean, other than that, this movie just looks freaking incredible, and I really have been looking forward to this, because this is kind of like my last shot for horror movies to, like, work for me. So I'm like, if this doesn't work for me, I mean, nothing will. Because, the only other horror movies this year are Blair Witch, which I rewatched the Blair Witch Project and I was bored out of my fucking mind.
I've never seen Blair Witch Project, so.
And then they're remaking The Rings, and that looks fucking terrible.
They're remaking Blair Witch and The Ring.
Blair Witch is actually a sequel to the Blair Witch Project somehow. I mean, I don't know. There's one other horror movie I do want to see, and it's It, because they're making a new It movie. But I mean, more on that later. I mean,
Yeah.
Tarek, are you ready to see Don't Breathe?
I'm ready.
Here's hoping it's great, guys. Teric is buckled up. We're parked.
Because we're about to leave after we finish filming.
It's pretty late. It's like almost midnight. I have to be at school at like 7 in the morning. Time you gotta be at work.
Around 7.
Great. And I'm gonna be editing this, so no sleep till Brooklyn.
Mm-hmm.
Us being tired does not indicate that this movie is boring at all. This movie is quite enjoyable, and I really, really loved watching it.
I liked it too. I mean, I really did. I mean, I was hoping it wouldn't suck, and it didn't.
Yeah. To be honest, there's really no proper way to talk about this movie without ruining shit for you. So, skip to this time in the video if you don't want shit ruined for you. If you don't mind, I mean, I would like to dive kind of right into this, but if you go to this time, you're safe, and I promise. So this is your last warning. Click it. Alright, so now that you didn't listen to me, this dude gets a bucket of cum, and he tries to like insert it in a girl.
Yeah, with a turkey baster. I mean,
Yeah, turkey baster, yeah.
I mean, you just skip right to that part.
I mean, I told you. Shit's gonna get ruined for you. No. There is so much to talk about in terms of the story, because never have I seen a horror movie where I kind of wanted the villain to win. Because if you look at these kids breaking into the house, they're kind of pieces of shit, especially Money. Like, I really hated him, and it was really satisfying seeing him die.
Honestly, like, when he got like shot in the face, it was like mouth was blown off or whatever. It was, I was honestly wasn't. I mean, first of all, I wasn't really shocked because it was in the trailer, but
Yeah.
second of all, I wasn't really upset because I was like, well, he was kind of an asshole.
Yeah, I was really happy to see him die, and I'm like, I can't wait to see you two get your comeuppance. And obviously that changes throughout the movie, but initially you're like, yeah, I mean, who wouldn't want these people dead, you know, in the house? Because they're breaking into his house, and he appears to be scared out of his mind because there are strangers in his house. Obviously, there's a lot more to Stephen Lang's character than that.
Right.
But yeah, Money's the shitbag boyfriend. I mean, he's literally the stereotypical horror movie boyfriend that like gets killed because he's like a douchebag, but
Just because you jack off to your Instagram selfies.
yeah. There's the obligatory best friend who's secretly in love, you know, with the main female protagonist.
Yeah, pretty much. It's a little cliche with its characters.
But I think he's one of the more likable characters in this movie.
Yeah. Yeah, I think despite these characters being thieves,
They're
and,
criminals. I mean, don't get me wrong, they are criminals.
and like Money was complete asshole. I'm kind of didn't care that he died. The other two, on the other hand, they try to make him like as likable as possible.
Because with Alex is his name. You know, he really is protective of Rocky, the main female character. Obviously, he really likes her, and he just wants to make sure, that she is okay. And after a while, you really feel bad for him because he does not want to be in this situation, but he's only doing it for Rocky.
Yeah.
And Rocky's only doing it because she has a little sister that she wants to get out of this horrible household.
And she wants to like move to California with her, and of course Money just does it for fun, I guess. So,
yeah. He's kind of like a pimp boyfriend, almost. Like, you know, he even refers to him. He refers to Rocky as his bitch, so that just shows you what kind of relationship they have. Like, he's literally just a sugar daddy. So, there's a lot more layers to that. Stephen Lang's character is fucking insane. You know, and I really like how the movie, like, introduced him. You know, he's just lying in bed, and then the first time you see him, like, active is after they break the lock off of a door, and he's just standing in the doorway, like, who's there? And then Money's like, I want what you have down there in that basement, and I'm not leaving until we get it. And at first, he's just like, oh, because we think the money's down there. but his reaction is shock and fear because we think that he thinks that they found the money, but later on in the movie you find out he's keeping a girl captive in there. And so that, you know, expression, if you watch this movie twice or something, you would realize he's thinking, oh shit, they know about the girl in the basement. And layers like that really elevate this movie above others.
I would have to say I agree there. Cause...
You know, that's pure genius filmmaking right there. And I do want to see this movie again to see what sort of things like are led to believe initially and then evaluated on later upon to where they're kind of foreshadowed at the beginning. I know when they first enter the house, like this is a praise to the cinematography. You know, there's like a one-shot take of like, you know, all the rooms to give you an idea of where they are in the house, and that's important because when they get like lost in the house, we know where, you know, in relation that Stephen Lang's character might be to where they are or where they're going. Sometimes the camera will pan to a specific item that will eventually be used as a weapon. For example, there's a gun hidden under Stephen Lang's bed, or hidden under his bed that he uses later.
And there's also the bell that they show off for like a few seconds, which is used later, not as a weapon, but.
But getting back to like the whole basement thing and the little girl, Stephen Lang's character used to have a daughter. She got run over by this teenage girl. She was rich, her family was rich, so they paid him off, so she didn't end up going to jail. He kidnaps her, and you know, he's lost his mind, you know, with grief and stuff. And I'm not sympathizing for him, I'm just saying this is his character. The way he sees it, the way he sees it is like, if this girl...
The way he sees it. Sorry.
No pun intended. The way he sees it is that if this girl is going to take away my daughter, she is going to give me a new one. And he forces a child on her, but he doesn't rape her. He takes a turkey.
Baster.
He takes a turkey.
I mean,
baster.
Is that really worse or better?
I mean, wow. And he shoves his cum up in that. This movie is R. Like, it is very R.
Yeah. That was a little unsettling to watch, but you know what? It's a movie.
Alex and Rocky, you know, they're trying to escape the house, you know, after Money gets killed. They find the girl and they, you know, release her, but shortly after she dies, and then they get locked in the basement to where probably the best scene in the movie, and I knew it'd be the best scene in the movie, and it was really entertaining to watch, was the fucking Silence of the Lamb, Buffalo Bill, Complete Darkness moments. You know, just the entire audience was holding their breath.
Right, like along with the characters.
You know, and that really, 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 really is important for engagement. And that's where video games, like horror video games, really shine. And this movie really shines, and I'm really, really happy that I was able to engage with this movie because it worked. All the tense moments fucking worked.
They did. Like you said, the part where they were in the basement and they turned the lights off, and there's one part where she's like walking towards the blind man, and she thinks like it's Alex, and like I was actually afraid for a second that she would touch him, but then like he just walks away, or he like shoots somewhere or whatever. Because
Alex called out her name, and then he follows the voice.
Right.
And this movie really makes sure that like you understand how Stephen Lang kind of, you know, feels around. You know, he's memorized the layout of his house. You see him like grab the wall, and you know, like the fan blade will tell you, okay, if I go this way, here's that wire or something.
Yeah, like I like those little details. He like spun the fan, or he's kind of would do that.
And like, you know, he's able to smell like, you know, her shoes that she leaves, and that's how he knows that she's in the house. Because, you know, he asks the one dude that he's choking Money, he's like, how many of you are there? And he says one. But now he's able to use his senses, even though he's blind, to tell that he's lying and there's more people in the house. And this concept of him being blind and horrifying, perfect. You know, the movie, you did such a good job. You built so much tension, and it did not become a gimmick at all.
Mm-mm.
Which was my biggest fear with this movie.
Yeah.
So after she dies, you know, they're trapped in the basement. The dog starts chasing them, and she has to crawl through the vent, and then Alex gets pushed out a window. And presumably Stephen Lang stabs him with, you know, like a hedge trimmer. And I'm like, damn!
I was like, oh my god. And then
this was like, it pissed me off just a little bit. They faked it out. He stabbed the body of Money. He was already dead, so Alex could come and save the day. When Stephen Lang, you know, takes Rocky down in the basement, and he reveals that now that this girl is dead, the one that I kidnapped, it's your turn, because I want a child now. And so, you know, he's about to stick it in her, you know, with his cum.
And then he like beats him so bad with like a hammer or whatever in the head, like multiple times.
Yeah, Alex goes down to the basement and starts wailing on him.
That's like the one thing with this movie, like, it made me feel like the blind guy, even though he's big and he's tough, it almost made me feel like he was like Michael Myers, how he like could never die while getting stabbed or getting shot.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a little more believable here than those movies, but...
So, I mean, eventually they're able to open, you know, the door they came in out of because it was bolted up and stuff. Alex dies, unfortunately. Stephen Lang breaks from his handcuffs and shoots Alex.
Yeah, so, first time they faked it, and then second time he's
now he's, like, actually dead, and I'm like, okay. You know, Rocky's running, and then for whatever fucking reason, she turns around and she's like, you're worthless out here, so Stephen Lang can release his dog and chase after him. Like, the characters aren't that smart.
I know. Like, she did like two stupid moments like that. It was that one, and it was like one where she was downstairs,
like in total darkness and total silence, and she's like, Alex!
And she like yelled it too, and I was like, what are you doing?
Yeah, and I knew there'd be times like that. I'm like, don't be a fucking idiot. Like, I know everything's in a panic, but there are just some things you don't do. And, you know, even no matter how panicked you are, you would know not to do stuff like that. So your suspension of disbelief kind of just has to go.
Yeah.
But she's running, and the dog's chasing after her. She gets in the car, you know, locks herself in. The dog breaks in the car, or she lets the dog in to trap it. Stephen Lang drags her back to the house after he picks her up. And, you know, finally she sets off the alarm, so police come, and she beats him with a crowbar, and he falls down in the basement. Presumably died, and then she takes the money and leaves. And when it cut to black the first time, I'm like, that's a really good way to end that. I like that. But then, boop, something popped up, and I'm like, oh, the movie's not over. And, you know, they're at the airport. It's Rocky and her little sister. You know, they're going to the plane. I'm like, oh, okay. She looks on the news, and she sees Stephen Lang's character, like, you know, at the hospital. And he didn't press any kind of charges or say anything was stolen, so the police believe there were only two robbers. There were Alex and Money. So there's really nowhere else to go with that. And that kind of makes me feel like the last 3 minutes of this movie were just sort of a waste.
Unless they're trying to set up a sequel for like...
Which, while it was going on, I thought they were going to do, because there was a scene in the trailer where I swear to God, I might be bullshitting here, but I'm pretty sure, you know, Stephen Lang's character is like in a black hoodie, and he's following them at the airport. Like, I'm pretty sure in the trailer there's something like that.
Maybe.
And I would have rather have seen that, because that would have set up something. Or, you know, made us feel like, oh shit, it's far from over.
Yeah, but I don't know, maybe they were like, probably wanted an ending where they didn't want it to be like a cliffhanger, but also not set up more sequels in case if it makes money. So they went with that, I guess.
Yeah, but I don't know. It just sort of felt like an unnecessary happy ending. Like, I'm glad everything worked out for her, but to be honest, I would have rather seen like a very, very horrific ending.
Honestly, like, I wouldn't have really minded if like she was
like,
captured. And
yeah, I kind of wish the movie had ended like, you know, with her, you know, bound up, and, you know, like as he's inserting the cum inside of her or something, you know, she's just screaming like, no, and stuff, and then it cuts to black. I think I might have rather that happened. Keep Alex dead. Don't fucking fake him out. Just keep him dead. Just make it horrifying. Make us think, where is that gonna go? You don't need a sequel for that.
Not true. You just end it right there, and like what happens after that? Does she get set free after 9 months, or does he kill her?
Yeah, I mean, I think that would have been a much scarier ending and a better ending.
It would have been, but well.
I'm not going to complain about what we got that much, because the movie is still pretty fucking great.
Yeah.
So, if you're joining us back here, welcome back. You're safe from now on.
Mm-hmm. So pretty much talked about all the spoilers and all the stuff we want you to experience in this film. If you just go see it.
My biggest praises of the film are definitely the performances. Not a lot of dialogue is in this movie. It's solely dependent on people, just totally quiet, not a sound. And it's just their body language. And for an actor to be able to pull that off so well, I gotta commend.
Mm-hmm. Just their body language and their facial expressions as well. And overall, just trying to act scared or act like a psycho without saying anything.
Yeah. Another thing I really liked was definitely the camera work that I talked about. It was very reminiscent of Panic Room, which I'm sure if I rewatch, this movie might have taken a lot of influence from that, but just some of the establishing shots of the home and some of the premises and stuff really reminded me of that. And I didn't feel like this movie was a copycat of it. It was just really nice to see a well-made thriller movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the thing with this movie. I don't think it was really like a horror. I'd say it leans more thriller, if I would say so.
And definitely there are scary moments in this movie that had me kind of like, oh shit. Definitely a lot of the tense moments are just of Stephen Lang's character. A character will be in front of him and turn around and see him, charging towards, and they have to be
perfectly
still and silent, not making a peep. There's a lot of audience engagement moments like that, and it's beautifully done.
I mean, the film's pretty short, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, I really like how it takes place during one night too.
Yeah.
I didn't want to see, them be in a closet for a night and then it be day, while he's walking around, and then at night they're like, okay, let's go to this room. It was all just them trying to work out until morning to get out.
Right.
Yeah, if you're a fan of horror, I mean, this is definitely a movie you need to check out. Just support this movie, because there's really nothing that's memorable these days in terms of horror. And it's important for films to know that they can be done well. Support films like this that build this beautiful atmosphere and have great scares when they happen. Because this movie really does take the time for you to learn about this world, get invested in this world, but while not dragging it on for an hour and a half.
Right. If this movie was 2 hours or 2 hours and a half, I don't think it would have. I think it would have lost me instead. But they kept it short. They kept it fresh and nice. So
there is one cheap jump scare though, and only one. Everything else works fine. And do you remember what the cheap jump scare was?
Was it in the beginning?
Yeah, it was. It was kind of at the beginning, and when I saw it, I'm like, okay, you get one of those. You get fucking one of those, and it made me jump, and I'm like, God damn it, don't do this to me. But I mean, after that, mwah.
Yeah, pretty much. After that, I was afraid, oh, is this movie just gonna be jump scare galore? But no, they do it kind of like how they do in the trailer, making it tense. And
yeah, from there on out, all the scares are legitimate and effective.
Right.
Which is why I have no problem giving this movie, with its performances, its cinematography, and the effective scares, a 9 out of 10. Even though it is not perfectly done, it is the best I have seen in a long time.
I don't think I'm gonna praise it that much, just because. But I'm willing to give it an 8 out of 10. highly enjoyable, very entertaining.
All right.
And if you're looking for a date night movie, then this is the movie for you.
He wouldn't know anything about that, but
Anyway,
with a consensus of 8.5 out of 10, this movie is worthy of a Redbox rental for sure. And in my opinion, worthy for you to check out in theaters, especially if you consider yourself a fan of horror movies. I think this deserves your attention at the very least. So with that being said, I am the Psychedelic Mystic, and that is my buddy Teric, and we will catch you guys next time. Peace.